This week in comic books, DC gives us the ending to Silent Night. And man, what a great ending, and just a little reminder going into the next year. Over in Marvel, in Carnage number 2, we get the difference between pseudo intellectualism and realism in probably the most disturbing way possible. And we'll share that with you. And of course, in Independence, we get Duke, the connecting piece to G.I. Joe and Transformers. And man, just. It's so great. It's just so good, and I'm so biased about it, and I'm okay admitting that. All that and a few other comic books, but it's the end of the year. That means there's sales going on, especially at Coffee Brand Coffee. Check this out. All right, weirdos, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. We're going to start off with Silent Night. This is issue number 4, and it is the closing of the story. And man, I'm telling you right now, what a great message we have. In case you missed it, Krampus comes back, steals all the kids. We realize that there's something possessing him, more than one thing. In other words, he has multiple problems going on right now, and he's acting outside of himself, his true nature that we would know him to be, or that his closest friend would know him to be, being Santa. And man, what a great one, that everybody just ignored it and thought that it was some other issue or some other problem, when the truth is he was just going through something, literally in this case. Man, what a great story. But then once they kind of worked that out and figured it out, Krampus came back to his true nature and understands that kidnapping Robin and Robin knowing Krampus's true nature to apologize and show remorse, brought the good out in Krampus. Man, what a great story. As we go into that new year, we have a tendency to see people's actions, and we talk about perception here all the time. And when somebody's going through something, we take it personally or direct. We don't understand what's going on in their environment. And man, what a great reminder of that as we sail into 2024. Tell your local politician that. Good luck. All right. Next, we got Penguin. This is number 5. What a great cover, by the way. Super cool looking. So in this one, we get a character by the name of Black Spider, he's not being recruited. He is volunteering to join Penguin's gang. This issue deals a lot with addiction, and you can actually correlate a lot of things with addiction in there. I don't know most of your lives out there, but if addiction was something that you have experienced or been associated with in some way, shape, or form, I'm sure you could get a lot from this, especially when they talk about the 12 steps, finding a higher power, and all those other kind of things out there. I thought that part of it was good, and how it can destroy a relationship, because ultimately it's what destroyed the relationship between Black Spider and his boyfriend, Tom. Now, and of course, him wanting to basically kill the Penguin's kids. That's the Penguin's big bad right now, by the way, in case you didn't know that. That's, if you drop this, he's got to fight his kids now. And Penguin's coming back a little bit more sadistic and vicious than what we've seen him in the past. So I have high hopes for this book, but I will say that this one was a little slow, probably a little on the nose for some people out there. I could relate to that to some degree, but man, what a great story, and how cool it was, the relationship between a person and a thing that they want. Very powerful story. I really enjoyed it. Moving on to Marvel, we got Timeless number 1. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and be honest with you why you're here. I didn't want to review this book. I really, really didn't want to review it. I thought it was boring with all the action and everything going on in it, and the relationship between Luke Cage and his friend, the Iron Fist, right? Power Man, Iron Fist. That was a thing. They had their own series. This came off as another super overpowered being for no reason, just to be overpowered. He had the power of the century, the power of 1,000 exploding suns, right? And then he's got Hulk blood in him. And then he's Power Man on top of it. And God knows what else. It lists through them to the point to where it was just mind-numbingly, oh, I'm familiar with that. It was kind of cool how we had an older Luke Cage here go against his best friend, the Iron Fist, in it, and their battle, and how Khonshu did have a role in all this. So if you don't know, he's basically the new Moon Knight in this series. Way overpowered himself. Khonshu's trying to take over the world, but then again, how do you defeat a god? Right now, I like a story where the average person goes against the gods. One of my favorite stories is the Odyssey. I love it. Just a guy determined to get home, right? And the things he'll do to do it, and everybody in the world and above or beyond him. But this kind of took that same concept of a story and just kind of made it, like, that's bad, right? Like, I felt like I should have liked this. I guess one of my biggest problems with this story is, and it's the bait and switch of the week, when I pick up a number one, I don't be expected to be getting the conclusion of a story. Now, granted, I haven't been reading all the other timeless stuff, but I figured that this was like a spin-off or a fresh start to the story or whatever the case may be. You did get a flashback of what 2024 is going to look like in Marvel to some degree. I don't want to spoil that for you, but there's definitely some Easter eggs embedded inside the comic book. So, if you're one of those people that love Easter eggs or loves to see the background stuff, you may want to pick this up. That's about the only thing I can recommend it to you. That's all I got for you. Moving on. Carnage 2. I'm going to tell you right now, first off, how cool is this cover? Just go on and hit the like button right now. We know it. That's the cover right there. Look at that. Looks sick. All right. So what do we got going on here? Basically, we got Carnage or Cletus Cassidy kind of going around being a serial killer, right? Trying to prove that he's a god. And, of course, a god needs followers. So that's basically what he's doing for himself right now, just being a regular Joe Schmo, killing people and numbering people. So his adversary, because if you have a god, you need something to fight the god. His adversary, in this case being Flash Thompson, anti-Venom, or the original Venom, or whatever he is this week. He's anti-Venom. Can kind of track him and chase him down. So you kind of got this feel of like a True Detectives type show going on here, which is a cool part. But this saying keeps coming up. What's the difference between a madman and a prophet? And at one point, and this really stuck out to me in this story, Carnage, or Cletus Cassidy, picks up a hitchhiker and asks him that question. And he goes into this long-winded word salad. If you don't know what word salad is, it's just when you say a bunch of intellectual stuff together. It doesn't make any sense, but it sounds like it should, right? Like that you're supposed to figure out the meaning of it, right? He goes into this long rant of it. What we didn't realize at the time is that Cletus Cassidy is ultimately trying to find his father, right? Who looks exactly like him, or whatever the case may be. Trying to get to him. And he keeps asking this question through the book, and you keep getting these different answers that aren't really answers. They're just words. All of a sudden, he meets his father and asks the same question. What's the difference between a madman and a prophet? And his dad looked at him dead in his eyes and went, the audience. And I was just like, oh, I've heard this saying before, and I've heard something similar to it before, but seeing a serial killer say it to his serial killing father, that, I don't know, that just kind of gave me a little chill up my spine that something so sadistic could be so simple at the end of the day. And I was just like, man, how great is that? I mean, that's why I read a comic book. I want that feeling of intensity, and it really delivered on that. Other than that, it's pretty much a pretty basic story. Next, sad tale. We got Predator versus Wolverine. This is the end of this little series 2 at issue number 4. And what do we got? First off, of course, Wolverine defeats the Predator and even kills him. Right? Or actually, he kills both of them for a little bit. Given Wolverine and his healing factor, he survives. And it's the most saddest thing ever, right? So we get the big battle. We do some of the things, if you remember the original Predator movie, some of the kind of tricks and gimmicks he did to kind of fight the Predator, right? We kind of see that in here. A lot of influence from that movie in here. You should know that. Especially using mud as sort of a camouflage, yada, yada, yada. Right? Don't get hung up on that. Then we get a couple of flashbacks to the past again, because we've seen this pattern where Predators are consistent in Wolverine's life. Now, you're talking about somebody that's lived for a very long time. He doesn't have a lot of consistency in his life, in the aspect that you and me would have, right? It's longer and it's constantly disrupted. This seemed like a basic thing that would show up every now and then and just give him the conflict that he's used to having. And now that the Predator blew them both up, yeah, he won. And yeah, he even mentions, I won. But then it's like, and now he's alone again. That, like, to have so much conflict in your life, that's the only thing that's a constant in your life. That is crazy, right? Like, that is, and I know some of you out there, going into 2024, I know some of you out there kind of have that too, whether it's with a friend or family, or maybe it was in your childhood or whatever else, right? You kind of get used to a conflict at some point, and when it's not there anymore, you create conflict to some degree or crave it. Like, I know that is something that people go through, and I hope you're not going through that. If you are, definitely go have a talk with somebody. But man, to see it in a comic book with a character that we know and love, and a character that's kind of used whenever it's necessary, man, it was great. That was solid. All right, last comic book of the week. Yeah, I did the thing. So I picked up this cover, of course, right? Boom, right? Gotta love that cover. And then I was like, you know what? I just got this feeling that the series going to go someplace. And I'm not a speculator, but man, do I like having high-value comic books. I really do. So I went ahead and picked up the regular trade dress as well, because it was just awesome too, and I couldn't make up my mind. And it's kind of important that Starscream's in there too, especially in this story as you read it. So if you've been reading Transformers, you know Duke was in one of the jet fighters that got caught up with the whole thing with the Decepticons fighting, and we remember seeing Starscream kind of squash one of the guys parachuting from a plane. We find out who this guy is in Duke number 1. It's a friend of his who was just picking him up to kind of give him like what is known as a hot seat. You know, when a pilot or something gets into a plane and goes over. We have Space A in the military. Usually it's not in a jet fighter, but don't get hung up on that. I know I am, but don't worry about it. And we find out, and it is just driving Duke crazy that nobody believes that there was a robot that did this in the air. Because remember, we're happening in concurrent time right now. So, like, any information that is out there is kind of being squashed right now. Duke knows there's something about it. So he goes down the conspiracy hole, trying to figure out where it is. Meets a bunch of weird people, but meets one person who might know something. She sends him to Mars Industries. If you're not familiar with Mars Industries, that's Destro's arms company. They make arms. So we get a little Destro action in here. Characters like Mercer, you may remember him from the G.I. Joe movie. Like, we're getting these characters that you just know and love, and we're seeing them in a different way, in a much updated version, much like what Transformers doing. So anyway, we roll down this. Hulk gets a call that, hey, Duke broke into the Mars Industries to find something out. Of course, Destro ratted him out. And so now the hunt is on. We have to find Duke, and who better to do it than two of the probably oldest G.I. Joes out there in the figures that we would know as 80s kids. Stryker and, of course, Rock and Roll. Yeah, that's happening in this book. Oh, my God. If you're not getting it... do I have to say it? Do we have to do the thing? All right, let's just do big explosion. Pick of the week. Oh, yeah, good stuff. Man, I can't tell you. So that's my haul and review for this week. Pretty short one, but well worth it. Even the bad ones, well worth it. And I hope you all had a great Christmas. I hope you all have a fantastic New Year. And don't forget, Friday night we are launching the Evil Layer Spear of Destiny video on Friday night over at Evil Layer Projects and Builds. This was something that Hoarders Hide donated money at the Comics Curing Cancer C3 event to have this made, and then shipped me all the sterling silver on his own dime. Gave me a beautiful blacksmith knife from a local blacksmith in his area, and so a bunch of silver to go with it too, just to make sure we purify everything. So we did that for him, and I've already put it in the mail. So we'll be launching that video Friday night. Definitely swing by there, swing by here, buy some Coffee Brand coffee, get some merch, and be part of the Pocan community, baby. We're all living good over here. drinking good coffee. We're styling. We got spears. All right, guys. I got to get out of here. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.